Hello, it is Gary Carpenter with Master Real Estate Academy here again with you to talk about the 5 success habits. I think the thing that I like to cover the most about the success habits are, let's just jump into them because I just think that for the most part, a couple really good books to take some time and read is the compound effect, and then also the slight edge. These are two books that really cover kind of compound interest, right? So they tell a story about, what would you rather take? Would you take $3 million if I wrote you a check today for $3 million, or would you take one penny doubled over 31 days, right? Well, most people, when you ask them that question, they think that they're being, well, what's the catch, right? Especially if they haven't heard the story before. A lot of people would rather take the $3 million, but for the most part, if I were literally going to write you a check for $3 million, or you had to wait 31 days for that penny and you didn't know the story, you're probably going to take the check for $1 million. But for the most part, when you look at this and you say, okay, what is compound interest? Most people say that they know what it is, but they really don't know what it is. It's when you double that penny, I think you end up with, I think it's like almost 10 or $12 million after 31 days of doubling that penny. But I like to use that as an example of the success habits of if you do something very small within, say, your health habits, your personal habits, your business habits, over a continuous period of time, you're going to see major results, right? So like right now, if talking about health habits, if you knew that smoking cigarettes, if you were to smoke a cigarette today, just light one up and smoke it, that instantaneously you're going to turn into an 80-year-old woman, wrinkles all over your face, and lips like this, and you're going to have kind of a green tint to your face, and your lungs are going to, you could potentially get lung cancer. You probably wouldn't even attempt to smoke, okay? Or it would be a good reason to quit, right, if you were already there. But for the reason why is that we don't end up happening that, and it's immediate gratification for whatever reason. That's the reason why we do it, is because we don't see immediate results when it comes to that. And then personal habits like, watching TV or eating the wrong things or drinking too much alcohol or whatever, when you look at these types of things, they don't happen instantaneously. If you knew that by eating a double cheeseburger with bacon on it, that you were going to have a heart attack the next day, you of course you would not eat the double cheeseburger, right? But for the most part, you don't see that immediately, so it's over time. So even on the positive side, so when I look at like business habits, the things that I teach in my coaching and I teach in the production program is that, the 5 success habits that we that we make mandatory during the program is that they have to do 5 hours of prospecting, right? I mean, in reality, if you're dedicating 40 to 45 hours a week to your real estate business, if you're not showing houses, if you're not working on systems to better your business, if you're not out listing property or on those types of appointments when you get an accepted contract that you have to go on home inspections and blah, 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 you should be using those additional hours to prospect, right? To get yourself appointments, to get yourself, there's two things in this business, right? There's the reward, right? And then there's the work. And the work of real estate literally is lead gen. It's putting systems in place, okay? And the reward of real estate is the result of lead gen and systems, right? So it's getting a listing and then doing all the things to get that deal to close. And it's getting a buyer lead and then doing all the things to get that to close. Now, most of us use that as an excuse, and we say that that's the work of real estate. Well, I've got 3 buyers right now and I'm showing them houses. I can't get to any of that stuff because I'm busy doing the reward, right? And a lot of times people don't look at that as a reward because they're running around, writing multiple offers, not getting things accepted, having challenges with their listing. They think that that's the work. And that, honestly, that is the reason why we do lead gen, is so that we can get those rewards. So the work in real estate is the daily habits, okay? So I have five habits that I suggest that everybody does per week and that they should break those out into daily habits 5 days a week. So number one is 5 hours of lead gen. If you're not busy at all right now 5 hours of lead gen is somebody who's got a business that is maybe, doing 20 to 40 transactions a year. Okay. And so doing a daily discipline of 1 hour a day, 1 hour a day, or 2 hours a day, again, you don't see the immediate gratification of lead gen. Sometimes you do. Like sometimes you'll sit down for 2 hours and you'll schedule a couple appointments, you'll get a couple leads, right? Sometimes, or for the most part, every time or a lot of times that you sit down, you're not going to see any immediate gratification. So a lot of times people will sit down and lead gen for a couple days. They don't see any results. And, they always feel bad when they have to sit down. They don't feel comfortable. They don't know what to say, all that type of stuff. And they don't give themselves enough time to master that skill that they'll walk away from and say, oh, that didn't work. Or they'll send one mailer out, or they'll send a couple thank you notes out, or a couple gratitude notes or power notes or whatever. And they say, oh, that didn't work. So then they don't do it. Okay. But this is the thing. It's like compound interest, right? It's over time. If you look at successful real estate agents, they didn't just show up and close, $25 million. They didn't just show up with a great and fantastic team. It's things that they did on a daily basis over time that created that. Now, a lot of times when you just meet somebody and they look healthy and they look successful and they drive a nice car and everything else, we don't know the whole story behind that because they didn't write a book on it, right? But for the most part, you got to do things. So let's talk about the first success habit is to show up, right? You just have to show up. You have to make a commitment to show up. And that's no matter what. So just make the decision that you're going to show up. Okay. So in the production program that I teach, they have to sign a mutual agreement that they're willing to do 5 hours of prospecting, send out 15 note cards a week, start to update their database, right? So adding people, updating people within their database. They got to make a schedule every week, right? And to me, a schedule is, it's essentially it's what you intend. It's what you intend to get accomplished for the week, right? It's an affirmation, okay? And so the other things is, that they're gonna do social media posts, right? They're gonna do different things within their business, okay, over time that is going to create the leads. That's going to create the business that they want to do for their business. Okay. So success habit number one is showing up. Success habit number two is be consistent. Okay. So a great, I don't even know who it was, but a great baseball Hall of Famer said, in baseball, it is to strive for consistency and not worry about the numbers. If you dwell on the statistics, you get short-sighted. If you aim for consistency, the numbers will take care of themselves. Consistency over time, showing up, making sure that you're doing the things. Again, if all you're doing is 1 hour, don't focus on anything else other than getting the hour done. Don't put any attachments to it of getting a lead, getting an appointment, just that you did your job of getting it done. If you're wanting to become healthy, you're going to go to the gym. A lot of times we'll go to the gym, we'll start working out, we start feeling sore because we're doing weights and we haven't been in the gym in a while. And then, 15 days, 2 weeks, a month later, maybe even a quarter later, we don't necessarily see the results, but we've been sore and everything else. So we give up, right? And we stop going. And if you just would have stayed with the diet, if you just would have stayed with the weightlifting over a continuous period of time, you're going to see results. Maybe not in 3 months, but maybe 6 months and maybe a year down the road. But again, consistently always doing the right things. We consistently do the wrong things, and then the results are what we don't want, right? We don't want failure. We don't want no deals. We don't want, being overweight or being unhealthy or being sick or whatever the case may be. And habit number three is have a positive outlook, right? So anytime anybody asks me how I'm doing, I always say I'm fantastic. How you doing? Absolutely fantastic. Now, am I always fantastic? No, but I have a positive outlook. And you got to make sure that you're responding to what life throws at you and not reacting, right? Reacting is a negative thing. If the doctor calls you up and you've been taking some medication and he asks you, hey, is your body responding to the medication or is your body reacting to the medication? Obviously, if it's reacting, you're going to stop taking it. If it's responding, that it's a positive thing, means that it's happening. So how are you showing up? How are you showing up to your family? Are you a pleasant surprise, right? Or is everybody around you walking on eggshells? I don't know. You have to you know the answer to that, okay? If you're really asking yourself. Habit number 4 is be committed for the long haul. So you need to be committed for the long haul. Long haul. What does that mean? That means like for a long time. That doesn't mean for a week. That doesn't, like if you're going to farm an area. People ask me, well, Gary, I'm going to farm an area. How long do you think I need to start mailing? How many mailings do you need to mail out before you start seeing results? Typically, the experts would say about 8. Okay, but if you do it, let's just say you commit for the next 3 years and you commit to farming an area the right way, but you go over and above, right? So rather than just mailing, maybe you're door knocking and meeting people, because that's what I mean. If you're going to run for office, right? In an area, you want to be a councilman or councilwoman or whatever, you're going to door knock. You're going to get to know people. You're going to have propaganda. You're going to show up with stuff. You're going to show up with something of value to them, right? You're going to answer questions that they may have. So door knocking, quarterly events within an area. These are things that are going to increase the odds that you're going to get your name out there, and that when people decide that, hey, we're thinking about selling, or we want to do something, or we want to know the value of our home, or we need a new deck on, they're going to reach out to you and they're going to call you, right? But you got to show up, right? You got to be consistent. You got to have a positive outlook. You got to be that pleasant surprise, and you got to be committed for the long haul. Okay, you always look at the farmer, right? The farming, they say farming is probably the #1 most stressful job, right? Why? Because a lot of their results, in order to harvest a cornfield or soybeans or whatever, is dependent on the weather, right? So when we look at this and you say, okay, whenever you have a conversation with somebody, whenever you talk with somebody, whenever you ask somebody, hey, if you knew somebody who was thinking about buying or selling real estate, would you feel comfortable introducing? That's planting a seed. So you have to plant a seed. Once you plant a seed, you're waiting for that seed. You're going to cultivate that seed. You're going to water that seed. You're going to fertilize that seed. That's mail, call, see, email, social media. That's them seeing you. That's you staying top of mind with them. And then at some point, you're going to be able to cultivate that, right? You're going to be able to reap the rewards, whether or not that's a referral that comes your way. But you've got to be in it for the long haul in order for that to happen, okay? So there's a quote here that I want to read to you. It takes a long time to grow an old friend. It takes a long time to grow an old friend. Some of you have great friends from high school, and they're stronger than ever. And you've been through everything with that person, right? So, but it didn't happen overnight, right? It happens over years. And then number 5, the last one, is you have to cultivate a burning desire backed by faith, right? So a burning desire is typically something that you love doing, right? Do you love helping people in real estate? If you don't, then you need to probably find something else. But you also have to have faith. Faith that if you do the daily disciplines, right? Lead gen, build a database, send out thank yous, meet 2 people a week, if not more, see your people, all that type of stuff that I teach in the production program and that I teach with coaching. And the best book to read about is Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill talks about cultivating a burning desire. So I would suggest, if you've never read that book, or if you have read that book, go back, read it, go back and read that chapter on that. That'll describe what that is. So that is the 5 habits of a successful mindset. Okay. So anyhow, if you have any questions, or if you are failing or not living up to your expectations, or if your wife or your husband is telling you you're not living up to our expectations when you got into real estate, give me a call, 402-680-7000. I would love to talk to you about one-on-one coaching. I would love to talk to you about the next production program that we're bringing in, and get you involved in that to be able to help you with your real estate business. Thanks a lot, and make it a great one.